Hey, I'm Mike Gilliam, and once again, we're not coming to you from the CUNY TV studios in Manhattan. Like so many others in New York, our building has been shut down because of the coronavirus. We're working remotely via Zoom. Welcome to Let It Rip. New York continues to be hard hit by the pandemic, but there are some promising signs. Still troubling information is emerging about hotspots here and across the country. Nursing homes have been particularly hard hit, and jails and prisons are getting a lot of attention as more and more inmates test positive. That's our focus, and I want to welcome our guest, Talib Shakur. He's the brother of Tupac Shakur. He was formerly incarcerated and is advocating for the release of his 70-year-old father, Matula Shakur, who has been incarcerated for 39 years in connection to a Brinks armored truck robbery. Crystal Lowe joins us. She's advocating on behalf of her husband, who's in Rikers right now. And Mark Shervington is the statewide community organizer for releasing aging people in prison. Welcome to all of you. Now, a video was recorded inside a federal prison in eastern Ohio where a coronavirus outbreak killed 3 inmates and infected dozens of others. It shows inmates lying on beds very close to each other and no social distancing. I want to take a look at that video and we'll talk about it a bit on the other side.
Damn, bro. Like I said, I'm clean right now, man. But I got symptoms, though. This motherfucker full blown. You alright, bro? Tell them how you feel, man. Huh? You alright? Bro, you alright? You want me to go get the police? Huh?
No,
What have you done is
you ain't gonna do nothing about it.
I don't want you down in here on me, though, baby. You dead? How you breathing? You alright? Your breathing alright? Alright. Yeah, for real, bro.
That situation does not look good. Talib, is that an accurate representation of what's going on inside?
Well, in a way, yes. Well, let me explain a little bit more about the conditions inside of any penal system, whether it be state, federal, or, wherever a person is confined at. They have a minimum amount of health, medical staff. So, for example, if you have to sign up for sick call for a regular call, that sick call, you have to place a little slip in, and it takes at least a week to get called to sick call. And that's just for like a regular situation. So now, like a pandemic such as this, and so many people rushing to put their sick call slips in, how are they able to obtain all the prisoners that's up inside there? That's almost impossible to happen,
Let me ask you a question about that. You say that you have to submit for a sick call, right?
Yes.
How, in fact, when you don't have a pandemic, how is that received by the officers there? And then kind of contrast that with how you think they would receive something like this when people are dying from the pandemic.
Well, once I found out that, there are scenarios going on inside there dealing with the pandemic, it put chills in my body. I really felt sad for our brothers and sisters, that's up in there in the struggle because of the health conditions that, they would throw us to the side. And I'm talking from experience. I remember there was one time I was inside there and I spent 16 years up in there, unfortunately. And one of the times I had a bronchitis issue. I was coughing and stuff, and I didn't even know what the problem was. So I did put in for the sick call slip. Say I put it in on Tuesday. They didn't respond back to me until like Thursday. And then when they respond back to me, they was telling me that I could come and see them that next Monday. So now how did that work for a pandemic that's going on? And there's so many individuals with underlying issues. And that's the very important part too, because they say that this pandemic really people with underlying issues, you know? So now there's so many people that are incarcerated with underlying issues, and yet you are in a cell with an individual that do have that virus. Now, okay, say that you got to get out of the cell. They gonna put you somewhere secluded away from everybody else. How much space is that? You don't know. You know what I mean? So now we speaking about maximum facilities and we speaking about medium facilities. So now the medium facilities, there aren't any bars and stuff like that. You're in a dormitory with like 80, 90 people in that dorm. And so everything's wide open. So one person catch it, it's automatically to spread all over, you know, with the quickness. So how are they gonna minimize that and maneuver things around for our safe being, for their safe being? I can't see it. Only thing I can see is for them to let a lot of them free.
And social distancing is pretty much impossible to do in that type of an environment. So Crystal, your husband is at Rikers. Talk to me a little bit about his situation.
At Rikers, it's, you know, it's similar situation where you're asking people to, you know, maintain their distance from each other, and it's nearly impossible. And the, you know, people that are incarcerated in there, when new people come in, I know that they feel very uncomfortable. And it's hard to move people around from house to house, because if you're not, you haven't been in that house, especially in the beginning when we first started, you know, lockdown, you know, they didn't want to let anybody in that wasn't already in there because they didn't know if they had it or not.
So they're concerned about being infected by the new person coming in to their area.
Yes. So if you weren't there, they don't care if they knew you in the streets, you weren't there. And, you know, they have a limited amount of information. I mean, we have the internet, we have different ways to access information, but, you know, they're calling home and they're trying to figure out what's going on with us out here. They don't know what's going on. And that fear factor keeps coming out there where, you know, it is the fear of the unknown of what's going on.
You kind of touched on something that I wanted to ask you about. What are some of the concerns that your husband are voicing to you?
That they're not getting the same materials that we're getting out here, that they tell us to wear gloves, they tell us to wear masks, they tell us to, you know, have hand sanitizer, they tell us to do all those things, and they don't get that. They don't get that in there.
Mark, jump in here. You're advocating on behalf of people and the release of some of the older prisoners.
Yes. Just this morning, sadly to say, we held a memorial RAPP campaign and other allies. We held a memorial at the Queensboro State Prison, I believe the only functioning state prison within New York City. The people there are soon to be released, and we held that memorial on behalf of Carter, who died the same day we held an initial protest about a week or two ago at the same place. While we were outside, he was inside dying from the virus.
Tell me about Queensboro, though. That is a problem there because that is like the dormitory that Talib just mentioned, correct?
Yes, as are several other state prisons, specifically as Talib mentioned, the medium security level prisons throughout New York State. They are dormitory settings. Social distancing that's impossible because you're packed in there, elbow to elbow with other people. And some dormitories have like individual cubicles, right, where people sleep next to each other, right? And then there's like one place was Otisville in particular that I can call the last place that I was at during my 29-year state prison odyssey. The other side of the dorm is double bunked. And there are several people packed in the space. For one, you have two people. Now multiply that by a few more. So the social distancing is impossible. And the situation, you know, throughout my experience had always been, no matter what security level prison you were in, if someone in the area catches a cold, we all got sick.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So the infection rate in the prison system, New York State prison system at this point right, is the numbers are skewed for two reasons. Because people on a normal day, as Talib pointed out, have apprehensions about seeking medical attention because they will, in most cases, not get the attention or the care that they need. Like, for example, I recall a nurse at one facility who was infamous for telling people who were sick, seeking medical attention, drink more water, and sending them on their way.
Yep.
And
Drink more water?
at the same time, yes, drink more water. And I'm not even sure if tragedy describes the word, because at the same time she was telling people that there was a massive H. pylori outbreak in the prison. So drink more water is like saying, go kill yourself.
So is there a reluctance on the part of inmates to ask for that help then because of the way they're treated by the people who are running the facilities?
When you go into receiving into Rikers Island, the bullpens hold at least 80 to 90 individuals, even more. But they just push you up in there, lock the gate. It's not like you taking a medical assessment before you go inside there. You're just being pushed up in there. Your medical assessment come later on down the line. But guess what?
So a guy some person who's infected could be pushed right into that group.
It's not could be. He is or she is pushed inside of that group, you know? And then that's when it would just spread like wildfire. And they talk about the A1, whereas you're not able to tell if you have it. So that means there's so many people up in there that can have it and not even know it.
Okay, some good points made right there. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we'll continue our discussion on coronavirus and what's happening in jails and prisons. This is Let It Rip.
You're watching CUNY TV, the City University of New York.
Welcome back to Let It Rip. I'm Mike Gilliam. We're discussing coronavirus and its impact on jails and prisons. I want to continue with your situation though, Crystal. Your husband is being held, but it's not that he has been convicted of anything, right?
No, he hasn't been convicted yet. And that's another issue because these people they haven't been convicted. He's not sentenced yet, and they're still being treated this way. So the bail is $350,000. You know, I have nothing close. He has nothing close to that amount of money. And when they did say they were going to release some people, they did, but they also said that they were going to work on making bail affordable, because there was some bail reform happening. But now, because of the virus, there was something that they wanted to make sure that people could afford to get out of the prisons if they had the opportunity. And we've heard nothing from that, nothing.
Now, this whole process of releasing people has been slow in some areas and quicker in other areas. Philadelphia District Attorney Larry Krasner says that you can learn a lot from just looking at what they're doing in different parts of the country.
What we are trying to do at the same time is we're working on people who are in on bail who don't need to be there, people who are coming close to the end of their sentence or maybe at the end of their sentence who should already be out of there, and working on people who are held on detainers because they may have some kind of a probation or parole violation, often for something very minor, like testing positive for marijuana, something like that. We're trying to get all those populations out. But the real challenge, of course, is as the courts shut down in Philly, which they have all over the country, you don't have all these courtrooms where you can litigate these things. And so we have to work with partners to try to get this done.
Mark, what do you think about all this? You've kind of worked on the advocacy end of this thing. What are you hearing from Albany?
Everyone, including the Pope, the head of the UN, the head of the UN Human Rights Commission, medical health professionals, legal professionals, etc., nationwide, in conjunction with RAPP, have called on Governor Cuomo to grant clemencies and otherwise to allow people in prison to be released so that they can protect themselves. And one of the pushbacks that we've gotten is that, oh, where would they go? Well, anyone can look at the RAPP's website and see an advocacy letter on behalf of all of the major reentry providers throughout the state saying that they will take care of those who have no resources to come home to. So the logistics are in place. The only thing missing is action from the governor.
Okay, now people all across the spectrum are advocating here. They're getting involved in this issue. It's a very important issue. Now, Academy Award winner Joaquin Phoenix is also advocating on the behalf of prisoners. Take a listen here.
I'm calling on Governor Andrew Cuomo to take action in New York by granting clemency to New Yorkers in prison. The lives of so many people depend on his action. No one deserves to die in prison from COVID-19.
Talib, what do you think about that? Should these people be concerned about their lives?
Absolutely. Frustration arises a lot of times when there's type of situations such as this, and there are individuals that use this type of opportunity to find a reason to be frustrated and, aggressive, things in that matter. And if it does happen and the staff is short, what's going to happen to them? You have to look at situations at a normal day in prisons. When I advocate towards people in prison and incarceration, I don't like to always, pinpoint the negative, right? Because there are a mass majority of individuals that are repentant of their sins or situations on why they ended up in there. And they're not in there to try to, cause friction, whether it's a state jail or a city holding pen. Their whole objective is to really get out because they realize their mistakes and, they want to be free. Just like Crystal's husband there, he's not even charged for anything, right?
For the record, Crystal's husband has been charged, but he's awaiting trial. Okay, go ahead and finish, Talib.
Especially in these days and times, to let them out,
Crystal, how have these policies affected you and your husband?
It's hard. It really is hard because you only have the phone and you have to wait until the person calls. And if there's a lockdown, then you might not hear from the person. You can't put eyes on them. You can't know if they're okay. Sometimes you have to have person-to-person contact to know if somebody is really okay. A lot of those all of them are recorded. So there's no privacy, no private phone conversations, no nothing. Some of the intimacy that you can get from a visit, you can't get. The kids can't see them.
How's that affecting the kids? How is that affecting the kids?
It's hard. And, I try not to say, like, if my daughter, she's 2, if she asks, can she see him? I try to just say, he's going to call you later. Like, I try not to say yes or no because I don't know when this is going to end. I don't know when she's going to be able to see him again. And it's kind of sad and it's scary. So I don't really think that we don't have a lot of time to think about our own individual feelings because the children don't know what's going on. They're just going based upon how the adults are reacting. And we try to stay calm for them because if I start panicking, she's gonna know something's up and something's wrong.
Do you fear for your husband's life?
Not because of the coronavirus. I think I fear for him because he's in prison in general.
Meantime, Attorney General William Barr says he's actually working to get some inmates out of jail in the midst of the coronavirus outbreak.
We have authorities under the First Step Act and under other general authorities to release, it would permit us to release to home confinement in certain designated circumstances. And I've asked and issued a memorandum just today to Bureau of Prisons to increase the use of home confinement based on a number of factors, including some of the statutory factors that we have to consider and are appropriate to consider.
Mark, we want to move forward just a little bit now, though, on policy of where things need to go at this point.
Okay, well, RAPP, in addition to our advocacy, for two initiatives in particular. One is the Elder Parole Act and the Fair and Timely Parole Act. I'll describe those briefly, but I want to just jump ahead a little bit. In this particular instance, the necessity for that type of legislation is really underscored or magnified by the coronavirus crisis, such that we have escalated our demands to request that the governor grant immediate clemency to vulnerable people, grant parole release to parole eligible people, including those who are vulnerable and those who have been granted parole but not yet physically released. We want to ensure all future parole board interviews continue in a timely and consistent manner, contrary to the recent Daily News report that the parole board seems to have slowed down on even interviewing people who are eligible for release. We also request the release of people serving determinate sentences who are 1 year or less from their scheduled conditional release or maximum expiration date, and that the state grant all time allowances, which would otherwise be called good time credits. Regarding our advocacy in general, the Elder Parole Act would provide an opportunity for people aged 55 and older who have served at least 15 years an immediate opportunity to be considered for parole eligibility. The Fair and Timely Parole Act also levels the playing field in the sense that it would preclude the state parole board from simply revisiting the crime and all too often denying parole based on quote unquote the nature or severity of the crime.
Talib, what do you think about that?
And yet say they are younger people, and then yet we have somebody over 60, 70 years old in there. Listen, they get it worse. You know, they don't discriminate. Oh, you 60 years old, you go to this bullpen. You 15 years old, you go to that bullpen. No, everybody's in there at once. So yes, definitely something to have to be done about this, and quickly.
Yeah, so definitely a person who could be in there to be held could actually be facing a death sentence because of this pandemic and the effects that it has on people.
Absolutely.
Okay, Crystal, bottom line.
They really need to make sure that, you know, our prisoners in the system have the materials and resources they need if they're not going to release them, but they really do need to look into, especially people that are up for parole, people that are no risk to society, people that are not sentenced yet, letting them out on bail. They really need to look into that, and they need to do it in a more swift way.
Okay, great. Great discussion. I want to thank our guest, Talib Shakur. He's the brother of Tupac Shakur, advocating for the release of his 69-year-old father. Crystal Lowe, who is advocating on behalf of her husband, who's in Rikers right now. And Mark Shervington, is the statewide community organizer for releasing aged people in prison. Thank you all. We're going to take a short break, and I'll be back with some final thoughts. This is Let It Rip.
You're watching CUNY TV, the City University of New York.
Welcome back to Let It Rip. So there are strong feelings on all sides. Understandably, inmates don't want to catch the virus. No one should risk death over the virus. Older inmates who have served considerable time shouldn't now be facing contracting coronavirus and what could amount to a death penalty when they no longer pose a threat to society. But at the same time, law enforcement argues that they don't want people who they've already arrested put back on the streets where they may have to put their lives at risk arresting them again. And then there's the public. Society as a whole must consider whether it's safe to release convicted criminals and others charged with crimes back into the community who are being released from coronavirus hotspots. Could they also infect and spread the disease? They are all good questions, and arguments could be made from many points of view. But a few things are certain. People should not be placed in a position where they could die from the disease when there are other humane options available. It's time for our leaders to show some resolve and focus on saving lives, both in our communities and behind bars. I'm Mike Gilliam. We'll see you next time on Let It Rip.